Hey everyone, and welcome back to Save Station. Recently, Nintendo's Facebook page has been posting some Breath of the Wild videos focused on particular themes, and one in particular caught my attention. Their first video was focused on the Temple of Time. Now, it doesn't reveal any new details, but the video does show some nice shots of the temple from both outside and inside. The whole point of the video was to bring back memories of this well-known landmark and also show off the new look of the game. So how does it look? Well, I love the cell shading throughout the game, but there are a few technical aspects that could be spruced up a bit. Of course, Nintendo would be using the Wii U to demo this game, but we all know there is an NX version coming. In fact, the current lead on the game, Eiji Onuma, has said the NX version will be visually improved over its Wii U counterpart. This is very exciting news, and I have laid out a few aspects of the game that could use some visual improvements. It might get a little technical, so strap in. So many of you are probably unfamiliar with this term, so I'll explain it and then show a few examples, which will help a lot. Aliasing is bad, and we don't want that at all. And it's often seen in older games before they had any techniques to get rid of it, but it often adds this jaggedy look to edges, sawtoothed in appearance. You'll see them on diagonal lines or curves. So the process that people came up with to take care of aliasing is anti-aliasing, which is a technique to smooth out those jagged edges. And it's very important. I cannot explain to you guys enough how annoying aliasing is in a game or even in like animation. So in short, it really helps with image quality. Alright, let's take a look at an example. So the image on the left, no anti-aliasing present. And then on the right, we have anti-aliasing. Look very closely at the edges of those close-up beams on the left. You can see the jagged edges there. And then we add anti-aliasing, and if you look really closely, they're still kind of there, but they've been smoothed out. It helps so much. I can't express enough. And then on the text here, we see a more close-up view of what's going on. On the left-hand side, it's almost kind of distorting the A, just because of all the jagged edges there. So with anti-aliasing, it smooths it all out, and clearly that's an A there. I mean, before you could tell it was an A, but it had all these weird, like, juts coming out of it. It was very unsightly to look at. Now let's take a look at the video, and try and watch very closely the edges as the camera moves around the environment. You can see the edge distortion as the camera moves around the temple. This is aliasing, and it appears that this game either has no anti-aliasing or very little. To me, this always has been very annoying to come across, especially in 2016. So please save us, NX version. Now this time around, we're dealing with shadow quality, which also deals with jagged edges, but it's not quite the same as aliasing. Of course, we are specifically looking at shadows being cast from objects under a light source. That's how they work. And in 3D, you can control the quality of the shadows so that rendering is much easier. And since with game engines they're always real-time rendering, shadow quality can often be an issue. So let's take a look at what some bad shadow quality can look like and then what we want to try and get to. Alright, so here's an example of shadow quality. On the far left, we have what we want to avoid at all costs, low settings, which means jaggedness out the wazoo. The edges of the shadows look so bad. But as we further go to the right, we have some nice softer edges to the shadows. It looks much better and much more realistic. So I gotta say though, to temper our expectations, high and ultra settings are not gonna be realistic for the NX. We're gonna want medium settings. High and ultra is gonna be PC settings. So the NX hopefully can hit the medium settings, and we can still see the jaggedness a little bit, but it's softening up just enough to look good. Alright, this time around, let's specifically look at the shadows being cast. Try and look for the jaggedness. So the Wii U will have low quality shadows, but it's able to adapt, which is a good thing. However, I think the NX with increased power can maybe and hopefully get up to the medium settings where we almost can't see any jaggedness. Alright, the big one, resolution and frame rate. Currently the game runs at 720p. Now this is fine, but it would be fantastic if through the power of the NX we could get a 1080p version. This likely would be a big selling point for many people. Getting a crisper image overall is always nice. Naturally though, after the 1080p benchmark, many will start asking about frame rate. In all honesty, definitely do not hold your breath on this one. 1080p 60 FPS is always begged for by many, but 60 FPS is just not realistic for a game this size and running on a console. Witcher 3, which is just as big and on better hardware, couldn't run at 60 FPS on console. To me, it's not a big deal though. 30 FPS is perfectly fine for a big adventure game like this. Now in exchange, if they are not able to hit that 1080p benchmark, I would at least settle for an overall texture resolution increase within the game. Now let's look at a similar situation with Twilight Princess and Twilight Princess HD. Looking at this image comparison from Twilight Princess, we see how better texture resolution helps the look of objects. Specifically looking at Link and his chainmail. On the Wii U version, you can actually see the links for his chainmail. Yet on the Wii version, it's just kind of like a muddied mess because the resolution of the image for the chainmail is very low. Now, you might also be looking at the chest. I think they actually replaced the texture overall instead of just up-resing it. Now, notice those jagged edges though. Can you see them? No anti-aliasing in the Wii version, but they did implement that in the Wii U version, which is very nice, and I hope we can see that for Breath of the Wild. So I think the textures look fine in Breath of the Wild, and I do realize that Breath of the Wild is not Twilight Princess. Their art styles are very different. So I think the more toonish look for Breath of the Wild may just not need any more detail, but I think an increase in texture resolution would always be nice. Alright, those are some visual improvements I would like to see in Breath of the Wild. Before I end the video, let me quickly rank them in order of personal importance. Number 1, hitting that 1080p benchmark should be a goal the Zelda team should strive for. It would be a huge selling point, and who doesn't like an overall crisper image? Number 2, anti-aliasing would really help. For me, it is just so distracting to see cool landmarks marred by weird edge distortions that shouldn't be there. Even low anti-aliasing is better than none at all. Number 3, increasing overall texture resolution would be nice. Like I said, it looks fine, but having even more detail would really make the environments and characters pop. Number 4, an increase in shadow quality would be good to have, but with the current adaptive settings they have present, I think it's passable. And number 5, frame rate increase. Nope, not necessary at all. 30 FPS is totally fine. Well everyone, those were the visual improvements I would like to see on the NX version of Breath of the Wild. For the record, I really like the look of the game overall, I just think it could use a little sprucing up. Let me know what you would like to see visually improved in the NX version down below in the comments section. Also, don't be afraid to try and rank them like I did. If you have any questions regarding timeline theories, check out my timeline placement video I did recently. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at your next save.